students, welcome back to Graduate Guru, and we are continuing with our topic NBFC, that is non-banking financial companies. Okay, so last time हमने क्या देखा था? We had done some sums where we had classified the asset as well as created a provision for those assets. So, and then we had also seen what is the additional provision requirements for hire purchase assets, right? And over there we had come across a word called net book value. और हमने ये भी देखा था कि net book value calculate कैसे करते हैं. So now let's just remember again what is net book value, how it is calculated for hire purchase and lease assets, and also we'll be doing a sum on that. So this we had already seen last time. Net book value for hire purchase assets is overdue amount of installment including interest overdue. So जो भी installment overdue है, that is pay नहीं हुआ है on time, that is called overdue. So that installment first you will take, it could be one installment or it could be more than one. So you will take that installment including the interest in it. Then you add the installments not yet due excluding interest. जो installments अभी तक due नहीं हुए हैं वो add करेंगे, but only the cash price or the principal element. Interest include नहीं करेंगे. And from that you subtract the depreciated value of asset and you get your net book value for hire purchase assets. And lease, it's very simple. You take the overdue amount of the lease rentals, but take only the capital portion and add the depreciated value of asset. यहाँ पर depreciated value minus करना है, यहाँ पर add करना है. Okay. So now let's do a sum. Based on this, we will be calculating net book value for hire purchase assets. It's a little long sum, a complicated sum. We'll understand it part by part and do it as required. So, question number 8. As on 31st March 2017, Bluebird Limited and NBFC NDSI. So, ये important category है, but it's non-deposit taking. Okay. Entered into a hire purchase transaction for sale of some motor cars. The total cash price of the cars amounted to 1400 lakhs, and the hire purchase price was 1600 lakhs. So ये cash price है और ये hire purchase price है. This will help us to make that table, hire purchase वाला table, जो last time मैंने example में भी आपको बताया था. The down payment of 200 lakhs was received on the date of sale. So on 31st March, they are entering into the sale agreement. On that same date, we will get our down payment. And balance was to be received in 5 equal installments. So we'll see how we segregate that. First and second installment were duly collected on 31st March 2018 and 31st March 2019 respectively. So एक साल के बाद हमें installment pay करना है. Our sale was on 31st March 2017. So 1 year later, 31st March 2018, we received the first installment. Second year later, we received the second installment, 31st March 2019. However, the hire purchaser failed to pay the installment on 31st March 2020. तो तीसरा installment हमें नहीं मिला है. So this is the installment which will go in the overdue category. The company was finalizing its accounts on 15th July 2020. So obviously 31st March के accounts हम तुरंत तो finalize नहीं कर सकते. It's a long process. And the company was in that process and finally on 15th July, they were ready to finalize the accounts. And wants your advice and calculations on the following. So first, what have they asked? Should the finance charges for the year 1920 be recognized in the financial accounts for 2019 and 20? So what are they asking us कि जो interest है, ये जो installment हमें नहीं मिला है 31st March 2020 को, उसका जो interest element है, क्या हमें वो income गिननी चाहिए हमारे P&L account में या नहीं? So that is the first question. Now this question is not related to your asset classification or provision or additional provision or net book value. It is in fact related to our income recognition, जो हमने सबसे पहला prudential norm किया था, which is compulsory for all the NBFCs. For that, this is related to that particular norm, that is income recognition. So एक बार हम recap कर लेते हैं. We'll go back to that slide and study what is actually the requirement in income recognition for hire purchase assets. So basically we are interested in only this asset because हमारे sum में hire purchase asset की बात हो रही है. So I am not going to repeat all the others. So what does it say? That installments should be overdue if the installment is overdue for more than 12 months for NBFCs ND or more than 3 months for NBFCs D and SI. So important वाले जो हैं और हमारा जो category है इस sum में, that belongs to this category SI. So for us, what is the cutoff? That if the installment is overdue for more than 3 months, then what are they saying? Income to be recognized only when higher charges actually received. So जब भी हमें higher charges मिलेंगे, that is the entire installment we will actually get in cash, only that time we will consider that interest as our income. Okay, so let's get back to our sum. So here what are some important points that we need to note? That the company is finalizing the accounts on 15th July. Installment कब due था? 31st March 2020. So if I count from March 31st March के बाद, if I count the number of months, April, May, June, 3 months are over. And when we are recognizing the income, that is when we are actually recording the income, on that date we already know that 3 months plus have become overdue on this installment. And that is why my first answer will be that no, we will not recognize the finance charges for the year 2019-20 because the installment is overdue for more than 3 months when we are finalizing the accounts. So I will just repeat the answer. You can make a note of the answer quickly. We will say for the first answer that no, we will not recognize the finance charges for the year 2019-20 as our income because 3 months have already passed. That is, the installment is overdue for more than 3 months when the accounts are finalized, that is on 15th July 2020. Okay, so simple ये एक line में एक answer लिखना है आपको. Now the next part is what I was talking about. See what have they asked. Calculate the net book value of assets. So यहाँ पर हमें net book value पूछा गया है. As on 31st March 2020, as per the prudential norms applicable. So we have to follow the norms which we have already discussed. How we calculate the net book value. So वो हमें calculate करना है. And to calculate that we will need certain information which they have given. Assume the depreciation is to be charged at 20% per annum. So ये depreciation rate है. And that the rate of interest applicable is 5.4%. So basically over here, I will have to prepare a hire purchase table. First of all, उस table के basis पर हम ये net book value calculate कर सकेंगे. Okay. So let's go and do the calculation for the net book value. So for our calculation of net book value, as I told you, ये hire purchase table बनाना बहुत ज़रूरी है because this will tell us the exact amount of installment overdue, without interest, etc. Okay. So let us create this table first based on the information given in the sum. So first we have our down payment and we will write it with dates so that it's very clear to us. 31st March 17. Now what is the opening cash price mentioned in the sum? If we'll check the sum, the opening cash price is 1400 lakhs. और इस दिन हम डाउन पेमेंट कर रहे हैं तो इन द डाउन पेमेंट यू नेवर हैव इंटरेस्ट एंड द डाउन पेमेंट अमाउंट इज गिवन एज 200 lakhs. Okay. So the total installment, that is the down payment which we have paid, is 200. So from 1400, I have already paid principal of 200. So what is the balance principal remaining? That is closing cash price 1200. Okay. So opening cash price minus principal will always give us closing cash price. Now we come to installment number 1. So first installment, and the date will be 1 year later, 31st March 18. Now पिछले installment का closing cash price becomes this installment's opening cash price. So here I'll write down 1200. And we have been given the interest rate of 5.4%. So I'll calculate the interest on 1200. On the opening cash price, we always calculate the interest. So we get 64.80. Okay, 64.8, you can write it as 80 because sometimes you'll get double decimal. अब हमारा installment कितना है? So first, let us just make a list of this and let us find the total first. So second installment, 31st March 19. Third installment, 31st March 20. There are 5 installments which we have to pay after the down payment. So I'll write fourth installment, 31st March 21, and we will have fifth installment on 31st March 22. So let me just extend my lines. Okay, so we need a total of this total installments, and that will help us to calculate कि हर एक installment कितना है. So first, this second last column, I will take a total. अब यहाँ का total क्या रहेगा? The total is always equal to the total hire purchase price, and hire purchase price is given to us as 1600 lakhs. Okay. अब 1600 lakhs में से 200 lakhs I have already got. So balance कितना लेना है बाकी? 1400 lakhs. And if 1400 lakhs is divided by 5, that is 5 installments, we get 280 lakhs in each installment. Okay, so I'll write that down in each of the 5 installments. My installments are going to be 280 lakhs each. Okay. Now this will help us to make a lot of other calculations. So when I want to calculate the principal, मेरा ये total installment है 280. 280 में से 64.80 I am paying as interest. So what is the principal? Definitely the difference, 280 minus 64.80. So that is 215.20. So we'll write that down. So in this first installment, what does it mean? That जो 280 हमें मिल रहा है installment, 280 lakhs that is, उसमें से 64.80 is interest and 215.20 is the principal or nothing but the cash price. Okay. So opening cash price minus principal will give us the closing cash price, right? So 1200 minus 215.20. And that will be 984.80. So let's write that in closing cash price, 984.80. Okay. Now let's go to the second installment and we'll start with the opening cash price. Last installment ka closing cash price becomes my opening cash price for this installment. Now I'll calculate interest 5.4%. So it will be 53.18. Round off कर रही हूँ मैं. So 53.18 is the interest. Again, let us subtract 280 minus 53.18. We will get 226.82. and this is the principal which we have paid or received in the second installment. Again, that minus 984.80 will give us the closing cash price, 757.98. That is our closing cash price. I'll bring it down over here. 757.98. अब इस पर इंटरेस्ट कैलकुलेट करेंगे. So 757.98 into 5.4%, we get 40.93. So let's record that, 40.93. Again, we will subtract that from 280. So 280 minus 40.93, we get 239.07. Okay. And we will subtract that from 757.98. We will get 518.91. This is my closing cash price. Okay. Just two more installments. So I'll quickly do it. So 518.91 into 5.4%. That will give us 28.02. Subtract that from 280. We will get 251.98. And subtract that from 518.91. We will get 266.93. Bring that down. Or last installment mein, we already know, we have done this earlier also, that we will have to round off the interest. So agar mera opening cash price hai 266.93, that means this installment mein I will be paying 266.93 as principal. क्योंकि इस installment के बाद this becomes zero, closing cash price, right? पूरा payment हो जाएगा. So now I will just find the difference between 280 and 266.93, which is 13.07, and that is our interest. Okay. So this was about calculation of our net book value, but first we have done the hire purchase table. Okay. Now using this hire purchase table, we will be calculating the net book value. So I have written the formula which we saw for the net book value over here. Overdue installment, जो installment हमें नहीं मिला है, including interest. Now overdue installment एक ही है, 31st March 2020 वाला. So यहाँ पर एक ही installment, and installment are all fixed, 280 lakhs. So वो हम लिख लेंगे. Plus installments not due. Now 2020 was the third installment, right? And दो installment उसके बाद बचे हुए हैं. So first we'll take the total of these two installments and we'll write that over here. So 280 plus 280 will give us 560 lakhs, right? And I have to subtract the interest. So let's see what is the interest in the last two installment. ये दो interest amount है. So 28.02 plus 13.07. So we get 41.09. So that is what I am going to subtract from here. 41.09. So let's subtract that from 560 and we get 518.91. Okay. So इन दोनों को पहले हम add कर लेंगे. So 280 plus 518.91 gives us 798.91. Now what have they said about depreciation? So let's check our sum. In the sum they have said that depreciation is 20% per annum. अब हमने asset, for how many years have we given the asset on installment? So one, we gave the asset over here. So ये एक साल हुआ from 17 to 18, 18 to 19 second year, 19 to 20 third year. So that means the asset has been used for 3 years. So we have to charge 3 years depreciation. We don't have to write the depreciation amount. What do we have to write? The depreciated value of asset, right? So what I'm going to do, what is the cash price of my asset? 1400 lakhs, right? Minus depreciation B, the depreciation also we will calculate on that only. So 1400 into 20%, and what did we count? Number of years? 3 years. So ये हो जाएगा हमारा depreciation, and that we will subtract from the cash price of 1400 lakhs. So first let's calculate the depreciation. 1400 into 20% into 3 is 840. And if I subtract 840 from 1400, we get 560 lakhs. Okay, I'm writing a 00 and this I have to subtract. I have to subtract this from the total of these two amounts. जो 280 और 518.91 का हमने total लिया है, उसमें से ये subtract कर देंगे. So let's subtract that and we get 238.91, and that is our net book value. Okay, so हमने net book value calculate कर दिया for hire purchase asset. That is what was asked to us in the second part of the question. So let's go back to the question and see what else has been asked. So we have done the first two parts of the question. हमने ये answer कर दिया कि finance charge हमें नहीं लेना है because the installment is overdue for more than 3 months. We calculated the net book value also. Now what have they asked? Calculate the additional provision if required to be made as per prudential norms applicable. Now if you remember the additional provision, what did it say? First 12 months तक अगर installment overdue है, तो you don't have to make any additional provision. और हमारा installment कितने months तक overdue है? Even on the date of finalization, it is overdue for only 3.5 months around. April, May, June and half of July. So 3.5 months. So the installment is overdue for less than 12 months and therefore no additional provision is required. So how will you answer this? I'll repeat it. You can make a note of it. Since the installment is overdue for less than 3 months, less than 12 months, therefore there is no need for any additional provision on this asset. Okay, and that completes our sum. ठीक है? So I hope you've understood this additional provision norm also. Now with this sum, we complete the basic norms. But there are some other additional norms also. दो additional norm है which have to be fulfilled by NBFC D and NBFC ND SI. So now let's go further and see what those additional norms talk about. So the next norm is capital adequacy norm. क्या NBFC के पास enough capital है या नहीं? That is what is checked by this particular norm. Now here also we have two categories. First of all NBFC ND, the simple one, and then we have NBFC D or NBFC ND SI. But जब हम norms पढ़ रहे थे, we said कि NBFC ND को ये norm applicable नहीं है. This is an additional norm only for these two categories. Then why am I saying over here NBFC ND के लिए ये norm है? Because in the recent years they have introduced something different for NBFC ND. They don't have to actually go for the capital adequacy norm, but उनके लिए कुछ अलग है. So NBFC ND, as I told you, they are exempted from maintaining capital risk weighted asset ratio. This is the main norm जिसकी हम बात कर रहे हैं, CRAR. So NBFC ND को ये CRAR नहीं सेटिस्फाई करना है, दे आर एग्जेम्प्टेड, उनको माफी दे दी गई है, यू डोंट हैव टू गो फॉर दिस पर्टिकुलर कैलकुलेशन। बट अदर देन दैट, इसके सामने उनको क्या दे दिया गया है, दे हैव टू मेंटेन अ लेवरेज रेशियो। What is leverage ratio? How we calculate it? I'll come in a little while. But उनको क्या leverage ratio minimum होना चाहिए? 7:1. So whatever ratio we are going to calculate, our answer should always be 7:1 or more. If it's not, that means this NBFC is not fulfilling that particular criteria. Then for NBFC D and NBFC NDSI, the important NBFCs, उनके लिए क्या है, मिनिमम CRAR रेशियो, दैट इज दिस कैपिटल रिस्क वेटेड एसेट रेशियो ऑफ 15%. So when we calculate this CRAR ratio, we will convert it to percent and we should get our answer at least 15%. 15 या उससे ज्यादा हो सकता है, not less than that. Okay? And it is based on something called tier 1 and tier 2 capital. So what are these tier 1 and tier 2 capitals? What is this CRAR calculation? कैसे करते हैं? We'll be seeing that one by one. सबसे पहले we are going to see what is this leverage ratio and how to calculate it. So leverage ratio, simple calculation है, total outside liabilities divided by own funds. So यहाँ पर for NBFC ND, if suppose a balance sheet is also given, we know what are outside liabilities. जो भी owners के अलावा बाहर लोगों को pay करना है liabilities, like if you've taken a loan or if you've issued debentures, etc., all that becomes your total outside liabilities. So you add all your outside liabilities, including creditors and all the current liabilities also. You divide it by your own funds. Own funds में reserves and all comes, and even you have to subtract your losses. So you divide it by own funds and that gives you your leverage ratio. And what did we see? Leverage ratio has to be at least 7:1. They have to maintain a leverage ratio of 7:1. So now let's do a sum based on that before we go to CRAR calculation. So for Shubham Limited and NBFC ND, calculate the leverage ratio and also comment whether it is meeting the requirement for capital adequacy. So capital adequacy में उनको CRAR नहीं maintain करना है, but they have to maintain leverage ratio. यहाँ पर कुछ information दी गई है. We will calculate our leverage ratio and see if it is coming within that requirement of 7:1. Okay. So let's go and do the solution for this. So what do we have to calculate? Leverage ratio. So let's write our formula for leverage ratio. What did I tell you? It is, total outside liabilities upon own funds. That is owner's funds. Right? So let's check our sum. What is the total outside liabilities? It is given as 300 crores. Okay? And upon your own funds, which is 175 crores. So let's calculate this simple ratio. We get 1.71. Now, what was the requirement of the leverage ratio which we just saw? It is 7:1 और ये तो बहुत कम है. So that means the NBFC ND Shubham Limited is not meeting the requirement of 7:1. So I'll just write over here, required is 7:1. Therefore, Shubham Limited does not satisfy the capital adequacy norm. Okay, so basically here I just wanted to show you how to calculate the ratio. So I hope you've understood this. Okay, so now let's go ahead and see what CRAR is, that is capital risk weighted asset ratio. Okay, so here we have the formula for CRAR. ये थोड़ा सा complicated है, उसमें काफी चीजें याद रखनी है, but most of the times your sum will give you most of the information. They will not expect you to calculate everything. Okay, so let's first see what the formula says. टोटल कैपिटल फंड्स, अब यहाँ पर आउटसाइड लायबिलिटी और ओन फंड्स दोनों को मिलाकर वी विल गेट टोटल कैपिटल फंड्स, बट ऑफ कोर्स देयर आर requirements, you have to calculate it in a particular manner. So as I told you, there are two types of capital, tier 1 and tier 2 capital. So ये दोनों पहले calculate करेंगे, उसका total लेंगे and that is your total capital funds. You divide it by risk weighted assets. Now what are these risk weighted assets? Again, these are balance sheet assets and every asset has a percentage weight given with it. और हमें उसको multiply करके we have to calculate our risk weighted assets. Okay? And that gives us our CRAR. Now ये तो हमें ratio मिलेगा. But our CRAR requirement is in percentage. 15% बोला गया है, 15%. So if I multiply this ratio with 100, I will get the answer in percentage. Okay, so simply we just have to multiply it with 100. So यही same calculation into 100 will give you CRAR as a percentage. Okay, so सबसे पहले हमने क्या देखा, that we want total capital funds. और वहां पर दो चीजें ऐड करनी है, tier 1 capital and tier 2 capital. So here I have given you a small formula for tier 1 and tier 2 capital. So tier 1 capital में क्या क्या होगा, equity capital plus compulsorily convertible preference capital. Okay, so equity capital तो पूरा ही आ जाएगा और preference हम कौन सा लेंगे, only that which is compulsorily convertible. जहां पर नॉन कन्वर्टेबल है या ऑप्शनली कन्वर्टेबल है वो टीयर 1 में नहीं आएगा. प्लस फ्री रिजर्व्स, दैट इज योर नॉर्मल रिजर्व्स बट विच आर फ्री फॉर डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन एज डिविडेंड. perpetual debt instruments. Now what are these perpetual debt instruments? See, I've put a star over here. So perpetual debt instruments जो है, that should not be in excess of 15% of previous year's tier 1 capital. So these small things you can remember for objectives. Obviously they don't expect you to do such complicated calculations. Okay, so basically you have to remember कि अगर sum में perpetual debt instrument है in case, then you will see that previous year के tier 1 capital से 15% से ज्यादा वो नहीं होना चाहिए. So suppose previous year का tier 1 capital था 100 crores. So this year tier 1 capital में my perpetual debt instruments cannot be more than 15 crores. 100 का 15%. Okay. Now what are these perpetual debt instruments? Perpetual word means continuous, for life. So ऐसे loans या debt instruments या debentures जो हमने for the lifetime of company issue किए हैं, so it's a lifetime liability, वो आ जाएंगे tier 1 capital में. Now what are we subtracting? Accumulated losses. जैसे यहाँ पर reserves add कर रहे हैं, अगर कोई losses है जो हमारे asset side पे दिख रहे हैं, then we will subtract it. We will also subtract the NBFC investment. If you remember in an earlier calculation, we had seen when one NBFC has invested in another NBFC, shares, debentures, etc. तो वहां net own funds में हम वो calculation में भी minus करते थे, यहाँ पर भी वैसे ही subtract करना है. और minus loans, deposits to subsidiaries or group companies. So these are all on your asset side, and these assets are investments in other NBFCs or in your own subsidiaries or in your group companies. Then those have to be subtracted. Cannot be less than 10% of total capital. Tier 1 capital कभी भी total capital का 10% से कम नहीं हो सकता. So at least 10% of your total capital should be in your tier 1 capital. So if that's not happening, then you will have to think of how to adjust it so that your capital meets this requirement. Now coming to tier 2 capital. Tier 2 capital are optionally, means what is included? Optionally convertible preference shares or debentures. So preference shares या debentures जो optionally convertible है या non-convertible also you can include over here. Plus hybrid debt. What is hybrid debt? A debt which is in the nature of capital as well as debt. It's called a hybrid debt. Okay. So hybrid means mix. So hybrid debt अगर कोई है तो वो add होगा. Plus revaluation reserve. Now revaluation reserve is actually not a cash reserve. You don't get this in cash. This is just a reserve which you have created by doing a book entry. So you have to discount it. So here I have written at the discounted rate of 55%. So at 55%, जो भी revaluation reserve है, multiply by 55% and that you can take as tier 2 capital. Then we also have subordinated debt. Subordinated debt का एक पूरा explanation है which we'll be doing a little later, maybe in the next session. So subordinated debt भी लेंगे हम यहाँ पर tier 2 capital में, वो क्या है we'll understand it a little later. Plus general provisions and loss reserves. Sometimes you create a provision for say bad debts, या some future loss, maybe you are going to pay some compensation to workmen or something, उसके लिए provision create किया है. तो ऐसे जो reserves और provisions है वो यहाँ पर आएंगे tier 2 में. वो free reserve नहीं है, so they will not come in tier 1 but they will come in tier 2. Plus perpetual debt instruments. Again over here, why do I have perpetual debt instruments? Because यहाँ पर एक लिमिट है ना परपेचुअल डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स के लिए. सो उस लिमिट से ज्यादा अगर है मेरे परपेचुअल डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट, सपोज जैसे हमने एग्जांपल लिया था, मेरे लास्ट ईयर का टियर 1 कैपिटल था 100 crores. So over here I cannot take more than 15 crores because the limit is 15% of last year's tier 1 capital. But मेरे actual perpetual debt instrument suppose है 20 crores. तो जो एक्स्ट्रा 5 है वो टियर 2 में चला जाएगा. ओके. एंड टियर 2 के लिए क्या कंडीशन है? इट कैन नॉट बी मोर देन टियर 1 कैपिटल. टियर 2 कैपिटल कैन बी इक्वल टू टियर 1 बट इट कैन नॉट बी मोर देन टियर 1 कैपिटल. ओके. सो आई होप यू हैव अंडरस्टूड दिस. इफ नॉट, प्लीज गो थ्रू इट अगेन एंड अगेन so that you can get a clear idea of what is tier 1 capital and tier 2 capital. And I wind up this session over here. Next session, we'll be going for some sums based on CRAR. Before that, we'll be studying some more terms about CRAR like your risk weighted assets. ये जो यहाँ पर subordinated debt था, what is that? That also we'll be studying. So I wind up the session over here. Thank you.